What's up, everybody? B-Roadsy Gaming here, and today I wanted to do something a little bit different. Instead of my normal PvP content, I wanted to talk about the top 5 most difficult monsters to go against in PvP. Now, before I get my top 5, let me go ahead and disclaim that this is based solely off of my opinion. This is not research based. This is not me asking the community. This is what I think are the top 5 most difficult monsters to go against in PvP. Let me also say that just because these monsters are on this list, this does not mean I think that they need to be nerfed or need to be changed, or that I'm here to stand on my soapbox and complain about them. I am just giving you my opinion on what I think is a difficult monster to go against in PvP. Let me also go ahead and say that I struggle saying some of these names of these monsters. It's not that I can't read or anything like that. They're just difficult names to say. So bear with me on the name calling. So without wasting anybody else's time, let's go ahead and talk about the 5 most difficult monsters for me to go against in PvP. Starting with number 5, you have Alice. Now, Alice is a relatively new monster, but it definitely has hit the ground running as far as PvP content goes. She has a super high attack, really good speed, but those stats are kind of irrelevant when it comes to comparison to her abilities. As far as her abilities goes, there's 2 things you really need to worry about. That would be the Void Detox Slash and the Bomb Rebirth. The Void Detox Slash is pretty much going to one-shot anything, and on top of that, it has the Void attachment to it, so that means any revenge effects are going to be negated. The Bomb Rebirth, even though it takes a little while to load up, I believe it's 150 seconds, it is definitely a game changer as far as what it can do to the team. So as you can see here, it sacrifices the user, which it doesn't mean anything because the user gets reborn, but it also takes out 2 enemies while negating their revenge because she dies as well. But to be honest, the real reason why she's on my top 5 most difficult to go against in PvP list is because of her 2 passive abilities. You got Cataclysmic Entrance, which stuns your opponents for 140 seconds. That's 140 seconds. That's pretty much gives her free reign to do whatever she wants if there's no stun protection on the field. On top of that, you have Core Lockdown. Core Lockdown is basically a better version of Hold Ground, the best version of Hold Ground really, because it gives a unbreakable shield as long as she has 1 HP, which basically means if you don't have anything with a piercing or a go past a shield type move, there's no way to kill her. There have definitely been a ton of matches that I've been in where she is the last person standing and I have 4 or 5 monsters left, nothing that can pass through her shields, and she just wipes them out completely one by one. Now, the reason she's not higher on this list is because if you do have things that can deal with her, she is easier to deal with. But as far as if you don't have anything to deal with her, she will wreck your entire team by herself. Moving on to number 4, you have Van Sith. Van Sith is one of those monsters where I feel like you can use all 5 of her abilities and all 5 of them are going to be valuable to you to winning a game. Also, she has great passive abilities as well. Looking at her abilities, Gaslight is definitely the best ability she has. It's definitely a situational move, but if she can use it the correct way, it can be devastating to your team. So without reading the whole description, what Gaslight does is basically it kills one of your monsters that are stun converters, either stun converters or stun counters, or even stun absorbers, and it turns them into basically a little lamp. The lamp is giving 2 moves. One of them you can only do after maybe 150 seconds of using the first move. The first move is a stun move. The second move is a poison move. Now the issue with that is this Van Sith is still on the field. All the Lantern can do is hit her, basically giving her another turn. And because she killed someone already, Blood Bite is already activated, so she's just going to be able to sweep your team pretty easily. Even if you don't have any stun protection on the field, then she can Echo Stun you, which is only a 25-second stun for 200 seconds. Once she stuns you, then she can just hit you with the Echo Time Crush, which is going to kill 2 different enemies, one of which with high seconds and one of which the other doesn't matter. And once she kills the 2 enemies, Blood Bite is still activated. And then her special ability, Gaslighting, it just basically ensures that anytime a Soul Lantern is created, that the Soul Lantern has to hit Van Sith, and just giving her more turns over and over again. On top of that, when she comes into the battlefield, she gains a shield for not only herself, but other phantom type monsters, which is great. Right, moving on to number 3, you have Carmelette. I think that's how you say her name anyway. She is just incredibly tanky, incredibly fast, and she has incredible stats. Look at that attack. It almost goes through the roof. She has two things that make her very difficult to kill, which is her two passives. She has Perfect Stance and Camouflage. Perfect Stance basically gives her plus 1000% defense if she has over 90% health, and Camouflage is the stealth. She's also a monster with an incredible move set as far as what she can do. A reason that she gives me so much grief, aside the fact that she's very difficult to kill, is that I use a lot of monsters that put other monsters to sleep, and she has Vigor Dream Ender, which pretty much shuts that down altogether. Also, Void Guardian Execute is pretty much just giving her a free kill if there's any protectors on the field. And then you have another monster with another Blood Bite ability. Granted, she does need to have above 80% to use this move, but very rarely does she ever have below 80% health. And even if she does, she can use her Sinjin spell to basically just boost her health up all the way. Yes, she can be stunned. Yes, she can be knocked off, but the probability of you being able to do that before she finds a way to take you out is slim to none. And the worst thing about her is her passive secret skill makes her a demon type instead of a human type. If she's a human type, at least there are certain monsters that can use Man Eater and take her out in one hit. But with her being a demon type, even though there are some other monsters that have like Silver Bullet that can kill her in one hit or something like that, it's still very uncommon to have for them, as opposed to having a Man Eater, which is more and more common in PvP nowadays. I can definitely see how this monster wouldn't be as high on someone else's list, but as far as when I make my teams, she definitely gives me a lot of problems because A, she's hard to kill, and B, she kills a lot of things that I need on my team. All right, moving on to number 2, you have Cyclophena. Cyclophena is the bane of my existence sometimes. I mean, she can single-handedly turn a whole match around by killing 6 different things in 6 different ways. It is insane how powerful this monster is. And again, she can be stunned, she can get knocked back, but sometimes it just doesn't matter. If she gets in and starts attacking and her moveset is working, you're in trouble, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. Also to note, another very cool design. All right, so let's talk about her passive abilities first. First of all, you have Hold Ground. Hold Ground is obviously very good. So even if you have a blood move ready to go and you're ready to take her out, if you can get through her defenses, she's still going to have 1 HP left. And if she has 1 HP left, somebody may either heal her or she gets a turn, and then it's all for naught. And then you have Vigorous Stance, which gives her a 600% boost in defense if her health is over 90%, which is another great ability, another difficult monster to take care of if you're not ready for her right away. So just all in all, another hard monster to kill if you're trying to kill her as soon as possible. Now moving on to her attacking abilities, which are all insane except for Even Onslaught. That's the only one that's kind of like, well, I'll be okay. The other 4 out of 5 do piercing damage, and I've never not seen it kill anything in one shot in PvP. The only problem is, and this can be as a user of her or as somebody who's going against her, is when the moves will be loaded or when the moves will be ready to use. If you read each move, they seem pretty simple, like this can only be used if the sum of both monsters is an even number or a prime number or an odd number. Those seem like things that you would be able to know. However, in the heat of battle, if you're trying to figure out, okay, what's my next move, what's going to happen next, you're not really thinking about, okay, am I in the prime number range? Am I in the even number range? Is this a square root number? Different things like that. So as you're fighting against her, you're kind of having your fingers crossed and hoping and praying that you're not in range of one of her attacks. Because if you are, she can just pretty much demolish a team. She could be lower on this list, but the potential is 100% there. Before I move on to number 1, I wanted to give a shout out to these monsters here in the honorable mention section. They easily could have replaced any monster on this list. They just didn't quite make the cut for very small reasons, but they definitely are difficult monsters to deal with in PvP. First off is Orochi. I think she's awesome. She comes in, kills something, whether it's on your team or the other team, doesn't matter. She has 2 moves that are insta-death, either a stun move or an explosion move. She's a bit slow, so she has to be partnered up with other monsters that give her a turn, but for sure can ruin a backline if left unchecked. Next up is Isodel, and it's not really so much her moves that scare me, it's really just her passive effect, which is basically if you kill her, everything on your team that has a kill will also die. So that can potentially mean all 4 of your monsters are killed just for killing her. when I see her, I immediately think to myself, okay, she has to be the last thing to go, or at least make sure nothing else on my team has a kill before I take her out. And finally, you have Tenjuko, which is not necessarily her moveset that's so scary. It's just the fact that she can transform into any enemy monster. Not only does she transform into the enemy monster, she then goes to the back of her own team's line, which then when she comes back in, she can stun you again and transform into something else again. As long as there's monsters behind her in the line of reinforcements, she can continue to transform. And finally, the most difficult monster to go against in PvP, in my own opinion, is Pandora. Pandora is one of those monsters where I've gone against and almost have changed my entire team just to plan for her at some point in the game. Now, to make Pandora work properly, you do need a box chomp, but that's a small price to pay because box chomps are only worth 1 point cost, and what you can do with the box chomp makes it so worth it. So if you look at her stat line, almost none of it matters, but the defense is insane. Most people use the HP boost to give her a little bit more HP, but it's really her moveset that makes her crazy. So for those who've never seen her in action before, if she's on the field with a box chomp, what she can use is the Mimic Dominion. It makes it the box chomp's turn, and they can use Piercing Blow on you. Now, even though Piercing Blow is a 200-second move, because it's not her move, it only takes 4 seconds to do it. So she can just continue to use that move, and you just continue to get hit with different piercing blows every single time. Even if a box chomp isn't on the field, she can use Mimic Pullback to pull back one of her teammates and summon the box chomp anyway, and that's only 1 second. So then she can immediately use Mimic Dominion again to start hitting you with piercing blows. And if you're lucky enough to kill the box chomp before it goes, she can then turn one of her teammates into a box chomp anyway. Even if you're lucky enough to get past all the box chomps, if she kills 2 of her own teammates, she then gets Blood Crush, which is a blood move that will ignore whole ground and shields. On top of her offensive movesets, you have her 2 passive abilities, which are awesome for her. Havoc is basically a revenge killer that also has her come in 20 seconds faster than everybody else. Hidden Mimicry not only makes her immune to stun, but it also summons 3 box chomps when she's dead, and when she dies, she's inside one of those 3 box chomps. If you don't defeat the correct one, she gets resummoned, and you basically start the whole process over again. So easily making her the most difficult, in my opinion, to deal with in PvP. If you don't have a revenge killer or something to knock her back, you will be in trouble for the rest of the game. She's that bad. Alright, that's my spiel. I have my top 5 most difficult to deal with in PvP. If I missed any, or you disagree with me, or you have your own personal top 5 most difficult to deal with in PvP, please drop it in the comments below. I'd love to see what everybody else's problems are. I appreciate the love and support, and see you guys next time.